Hi, and welcome to our program. As always, it's good to have you joining us for Greensboro Glimpses. My guest on this particular program is, I won't say an old friend, but a longtime friend. She's been with us before, but she's certainly well known around Greensboro, April Harris, who is the Executive Director of Action Greensboro. April, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Looking forward to this. April is, as you'll see, very energetic, very knowledgeable, and doing a great job at Action Greensboro. And April, maybe it would be a good idea if we started off by just reminding the viewers who may not know or may not be as familiar with Action Greensboro, just what it is and what you do.
We are a nonprofit focused on economic development, and we've been around since 2001, and we've done a number of projects around community vitality and economic development. We're probably best known for our Center City Park and downtown ballpark, but we do a number of other things in public education and higher education, all focused on creating an environment that businesses want to come and to create new jobs for our community.
Yeah. And this is a name that's probably forgotten by now by most people, but wasn't this an outgrowth of the famous McKinsey report, which is about 10 years old now?
It was, and it was a call to action. So a number of foundations came together and decided to do what they could to create a new entity that could focus on projects. Well,
we found out that Greensboro, although it had some strengths and some positives, maybe was coming up a little bit short in certain areas, and that really got some people's attention, didn't it?
It did. We were losing ground, especially in textiles and manufacturing, and so to rethink ourselves as a new type of community was very important.
Now, how would you differentiate what Action Greensboro does, say, from what a Chamber of Commerce does or a Convention and Visitors Bureau?
So we do. We fit in more so with the Chamber of Commerce because we're focused on economic development as opposed to conventions and tourism that the Convention and Visitors Bureau focuses on. In fact, we're part of a larger organization called the Greensboro Partnership, which brings together three entities: the Chamber of Commerce, and the Economic Development Alliance. That group is the group that talks to new businesses about coming to our community. And then Action Greensboro is the part that we like to say we create the environment for the other two to work successfully.
Well, here 10 years after that report, are we on track? Are we on schedule? How do you see us progressing?
Well, it's been a difficult economy, as you know, and so while I think we've made some significant gains in a number of areas, I would say in especially our downtown revitalization efforts, we have really created an authentic and vibrant downtown that continues to reap rewards for our community. And I think regained a lot of our community spirit and identity that we perhaps had lost over the past few years. We've still got a lot more work to do. We've got a lot of jobs that we need to create. And we need to think about what assets we've got here in the community that we can capitalize on.
What do you think are our best bets for creating those jobs? Do you think, well, it's a two-part question, I guess. Do you ever see, number one, the downtown area re-emerging as a retail center that it once was? And number two, what is our future as far as jobs are concerned? We've lost our textiles, we've lost so many other things that we once had.
It's interesting, two questions there. One about downtown as a retail hub, and perhaps it could be the retail hub that it was, but I think it would have a different look and feel. So what we see in downtown now is a very entrepreneurial climate, a lot of small businesses. So we're probably not going to see the big department stores that we had in the past, Belk's and Tallheimer's that were here in the 50s, but more of a kind of an eclectic mix of entrepreneurs. This is an ideal location for that. And it really creates, I think, a very authentic environment for us in downtown, the more local businesses that we have. So that's what I see as the future retailer for downtown, just in a different way. And then your question about where we're going with economic development and you know, absent textiles and manufacturing, we're still a terrific location. We're the intersection of a number of interstates and about halfway between Washington and Atlanta. So we're an ideal location for a number of companies that need to rely on a geographic distance for shipping and that type of thing. And then we can really capitalize on our airport. We've got a terrific product. We have a number of companies, as you know, Honda Jet and FedEx that are coming here. And so what can we do to create spin-offs from that success that we've had?
Well, let me get your take on that, because one of the things that we hear about our airport is, or one of the things that relative to our airport is so many people leave here and go to Raleigh, some even to Charlotte to get better deals on flights. You know, how can we improve that, and what's the future of our airport here, do you think?
Well, it's interesting. I did have a conversation with Kevin Baker. He's the new head of the airport authority. He'd be a great guest for your show.
Yeah.
And I think what they are trying to do is improve that customer experience. So we've spent a lot of time thinking about the airport as a hub for business, and maybe not spent as much time on what the look of the airport is and how can we attract more of the airlines there. But I think improving the look and feel of the facility itself is a great first step. And then it must be in that field sort of a catch-22. To bring a new airline here would mean you'd have to have a source of business for them, and then you need a source of business for the new airline, and
exactly.
It goes from there. So I certainly don't know a lot about that field, but I know they're thinking very long and hard about it.
Well, I can remember the time when, for example, Burlington Industries had its headquarters here, and there was a lot more need, I think, for people to commute and travel. So that certainly does have a factor. Let me ask you this. What is your sense of the attitude, the spirit, if you will, the community spirit in Greensboro? And here's the reason I ask that, because people that live here now, you know, we know all things by comparison. And people who live here now know what is, and they see what is, and maybe they haven't been here as long as some others. But for those of us like myself that grew up in Greensboro, and we remember the excitement of being downtown and how it was such a thrill and such a big deal to come down and see all the bustle and all the activity and all the exciting things. You mentioned Belk. I never will forget the big Christmas displays that Belk had in its windows there every year. And that just gave a sense of excitement to come downtown. What do you think the general feel or the attitude is now?
Well, you know, things can never go back to the way they used to be.
Right.
But I think there's a different level of excitement in downtown. Some of it occurs probably long after you and I are asleep on the weekends.
Right.
But I do know that our college community loves to come down, and the nightlife is really thriving in downtown. So it's a different experience. You know, the arts have always been an important component of what we see and feel in our downtown, and we continue with that. Lots of great festivals, things happening at Center City Park. So again, I think much of the same excitement, just in a different way. Elon Law has been a great addition to downtown. So we've got college students downtown probably for the first time. I don't know a lot about Greensboro's history, but I don't think David Caldwell's log school was downtown even. I think it was
it's
out
on
in the
Hobbs
county.
Road, or Hobbs in Cornwallis,
So Greensboro College is close to downtown, but Elon Law having those students down has been terrific. And so we'll see a lot of growth through that. And they have, of course, have bought some land around their law school and would look to expansion, I'm sure, one day. And then, you know, so the potential there, again, just in a different way than the past, but always in the way we want to do it here, what's authentic to us.
Now, there is a downtown consolidated plan that's been mentioned and is in the works. I guess it hadn't been finalized yet. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That was something that Action Greensboro did help work on with the city and with Guilford County and Downtown Greensboro Inc. It was very much a collaborative effort, and a number of strategies came out of that plan. Some of them very doable. I think some minimum building standards for downtown are in order and were a recommendation of that plan. Some streetscape improvements. We really need to make sure that we keep all that streetscape improvement in the till. So the capital improvement projects on a schedule so that we can plan ahead 10, 15, 20 years from now and think about what our sidewalks look like and what our street trees look like. Those types of things are very doable sort of policy or infrastructure improvements that can make a huge difference.
Now, how does that plan differ from what's coming in from the Greensboro Partnership? I understand they're working on a plan too that will be finalized, what, around the first of the year? It
will be, and that is more of a plan that focuses on the entire city, of course, rather than just in downtown. And really is just about economic development and what can happen, what that organization needs to do to drive the needle forward. So we'll look to some of those recommendations to drive the work plan of that organization. And it really is the work plan of that organization within the context of what the city or the county or even other regional economic development organizations might offer, but it is only recommendations for that organization.
Right. Okay. I was interested in reading something about Triad InternNet. Yeah, tell us about that.
So Triad InternNet was something that Action Greensboro started a few years ago, and it's a way for all the businesses who have internships to register their opportunities, and for folks who are looking for internships to go online and register themselves and then match up interns with intern opportunities. We've had some great successes through that. As you probably know, when someone's an intern, you get to know them, and eventually you might think about hiring them, much more so than someone you don't know that hasn't really worked in your environment before.
Don't know how much of a sports fan you are, but if you ever watch ESPN, Holly Rowe, who is an analyst, was an intern here several years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I got her started
Claim
right
to
here.
fame.
Yeah, claim to fame. That's exactly
Yes,
right. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that's very neat. So that sounds like an exciting program. We need to talk about synergy. Now, for years, you know, we heard the rap that Greensboro was not a place for young people, that it was kind of an old, stodgy community, and Synergy's doing some great things.
They are.
Yeah.
It's really a terrific initiative. So Synergy is our young professionals organization, and that entity works to attract and retain the young professionals that we have here in the community, roughly ages 25 to 40. I think you and I might have just opted out of that age bracket.
I certainly did. I don't think you did.
But so they do a number of different things. You
Yeah.
know, today's young professional is very different than, say, in the earlier days where you joined the JCs or the Junior League. They're not necessarily wanting to join as a member of an organization. It's more of an in and out experience. They are still very civic-minded and very community-oriented, but want a variety of experiences and those options that they're so used to having. So Synergy works to develop a number of different programs that young people can plug into, and depending on what they like to do, they can find something that works for them. So it ranges anywhere from sports like a kickball league or softball league to a gathering at a local bar or restaurant to more serious things like the Leadership Initiative. So they're working within that to create Greensboro's Leaders of Tomorrow, and they get a chance to, they hosted the Candidates Forum this past year and also the previous year for our local candidates. They have met with nonprofit boards to find out how young people can join up with nonprofit boards and a number of other things. So we're really working hard to promote that part of it. We're sponsoring a scholarship to the Institute of Political Leadership also through Synergy. So that's something to keep your eye on.
Yeah, and in fact, Synergy has recommended a couple of young people for our board here at Cable 8. So
See, it's already
really
working.
excited about that.
Terrific.
Yeah. Of course, now to have things for the young people to do, we first of all have to have the young people here. Are you directly involved in creating jobs or trying to create jobs, things that will bring them into the community to begin with?
Well, I would say probably more indirectly, but I do think one thing that Action Greensboro can do is to highlight what we have already here that makes it a livable community and the type of community that a young person or any person would want to come live in. So for example, a young professional that is toying with the idea of Charlotte or Atlanta or Washington, what I hear from many young people is that this is much more of a livable city. It's easy to get around, and it has just about everything you could want, nightlife and restaurants and great parks and trails and fun things to do. There might not just be as many of them, but certainly on the other side of the coin, it's a place where somebody can get plugged in very easily and really get to know and get involved in the community. There's a lot of easy entry points, and so it's just a manageable type of city to live in.
And what are we, and not just